I tell you what, Stoy.
Yes.
Tell us how you would be if your favorite team beat the Dallas Cowboys. You call Dick on the phone right now. Tell all of us what you would say, or maybe give an example that's a little more personal to you. Maybe Steve Austin beating whoever Dick's favorite wrestler is. How would you talk trash post-sports event? And we'll see if Dick thinks you're an asshole.
Well, I can hypothetically talk trash and make it stick because I'm more with real life vibe feeling. Everything's got to connect. You know what I mean? But I could let Dick act like you answering the phone. Brrr, let me call Dick. What up, Dick?
Hello. What's up?
Hey, you watched that game?
Unfortunately, yes, I did.
What happened?
I love that. Heather, they're literally role-playing right now. I love this.
What?
I don't.
You watched the game?
I'm going to blame this one.
Listeners,
they
have a phone held up to their mouth. Y'all, they have a phone. They've got their hands made of phone.
Hey, I hear somebody talking in the background. Joey at your house? Or what? What's going on? Because
he's back. Yeah, he's back there running his mouth.
I can hear him talk. Oh shit! Dick done gonna get a phone for real. Yeah. You watched that game?
Yes, I did.
What happened?
Man, that's just Jerry Jones things up like he always does.
So what happened? What was the score?
I can't even remember now. Like 35-0.
Oh, Dallas lost?
Yeah.
Damn.
I'm gonna be all right.
So this is what you do to rub it in?
You used to that?
I'm used to it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
My heart is hard.
Well, I'll call you next year when they lose again. All right.
Okay.
All right. Good talking to you.
Is that how you would mess with him?
No, you put me on the spot. I told you it's got to be natural. I just gave you that scenario for
like Stone Cold.
Yeah, I just
gotta be real.
You just gave me a wasteful memory right now. You just put on a skit.
Well, Joey, what do you think this gonna be when you say hypothetically? What did you think it was gonna be? What else could it be?
All right, let me tell y'all this. This is the part that I'm a little embarrassed about because I know it's.
I demanded, pleaded, called God on promises, and was like, "You have to show up, or I am done." And he did.
That's something to really think about. What does it mean that the God of the universe loves me?
Are we saying that our God is bigger than their God, or what?
Man, you got my mind going crazy right now.
I just think that is evangelical bullshit.
And I don't fit in their box anymore. So feeling rejected from the church makes me feel far away from God.
If I'm living out the love of God, love of the divine, then in some ways we're unoffendable.
It's wrong to marginalize anybody for any reason.
Sometimes we can just have some things about our perspective that's off until we encounter someone who can challenge our thoughts, have conversations with us, and we just continue to grow and evolve.
I'm with you there. Yeah, I like that.
That sounded like womp, 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 womp to Rob.
I'm a hardcore gospel lover. I do love the gospel. I just think we get it wrong.
Girl, I was so highly medicated, I don't even know if you Oh, I found my people.
What is up, everybody? Yes, you saw the title is correct. It's about sports, folks, and I've been a Clemson football fan my whole life. Hearing the band on TV just play those songs brings back memories of my dad watching when I was too young to really care about the result of the football game. My son shared recently similar sentiments about me and Clemson football games just before Georgia Bulldogs started to show the Tigers who's still boss around here in the football world this past weekend. I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, growing up a Clemson fan, the Tigers were good for so long, man. 80s, 90s. Sometimes they were really good, but never really great. And they were really bad sometimes. And it felt like when they were great, they'd figure out a way to undo the greatness by messing it all up until the Sunday after Halloween. Halloween was a Saturday night, and Clemson came off a big win. The following day, the polls are out, and my Clemson Tigers are number one we'll call this year one of dominance. The polls were out, and the team I had grown up following and rejoicing when they cracked the top 15, they were number one. Well, this was unreal. Now, that year they lost barely in the national championship, but the season awakened in us Clemson fans. Wow, our fellas could win it all. And I wanted it badly, guys, as a Clemson fan. I remember thinking, if they win it all, I'll never care about other disappointing losses. Just one national championship. It's all I want. And those sentiments were relatively true because the next year, year two, Clemson won it all. The following year, nope. And I wasn't crushed. The following year, Alabama was touted as the best team ever in college football, and Clemson Tigers in the national championship beat them, and I mean bad, like really, really bad. I'll never forget, since this dominant run of football by the Clemson Tigers early on after the dominance, so this is all relatively recent occurrences, Clemson began a downward spiral that they're still on. And I noticed early on in this downward spiral myself getting bummed about Clemson football, and all of a sudden something snapped. Bam! And I've never been the same as a sports fan, and I'm not kidding. Here's what clicked. This thought: you know, if my 25-year-old version, who had only heard about the 1981 Clemson National Championship, knew about this 40-something-year-old version of Joey Svendsen not being satisfied with not one, but two national championships, I'd get in a time machine, come to 40-year-old Joey's house, and kick 40-year-old Joey's ass. And I realized this, as in sports, is the most tangible way for me to personally evaluate this whole human deficiency of never enough coming into play, always wanting more. Like, if I can't figure out contentment in sports as a fan, how am I going to learn it anywhere? Because let me just tell you, if your sports team isn't winning in the grand scheme of things, you're totally going to be okay year after year after year. I thought at that moment, I'm never going to allow myself to be sad again about Clemson football. Like, real deal, restructuring pathways. I've changed. I mean, I was a fan who used to never think Clemson would ever win in my adult lifetime. They've won 2 now, and I want more, and I want more right now. I really didn't want to be a sports fan like this. So that realization put me in a trajectory of being one who loves being a sports fan more than ever. So I used to be someone so invested in my teams, I let sports rule my emotions and even my mental quality of life. Now I'd say I'm a fan that really just loves loving my teams more than ever. And it's weird how this less meaningful sports example parallels the more meaningful things in my life. I mean, it wasn't until I stopped focusing so much on trying to be the perfect parent, for instance, that I really started saying, like, I love being these 4 kids' dad, man. I love it. And I know I can be so much better, and that's okay. It's like that letting go. To some of you, the sports angst is very real and takes no explaining. You know my pain. You felt it yourself. To others, it doesn't make sense. And I get that. But hey, this goes deeper. Like I tell my friends on this episode you're about to hear, I'm really working diligently on being at peace and being happy and joyful. Like, I really want to be free, and I don't want my happiness to be based on anything I can't control. And that's a short list, and sports isn't one of them. It's how my mind works. I guess with the depression background, I want to get better. And here's proof that I am. Georgia, like I said, just whipped Clemson's you-know-what this Saturday. Now, back in the day, I'd be pretty upset about the loss for at least a week longer if it was a bigger game, like a Packer playoff game, for instance, 2 weeks plus. Man, before, I remember being upset for like a month. Now, to me, that's ridiculous. And then it occurred to me that any amount of pain as a result of a loss feels weird in the context of knowing there's parents hoping their kid will survive the night because of an accident or sickness. So I got to figure out how to love sports, but be healthy and happy also. So in the last couple of years, as I've really been making traction in this area of my life, I've gotten to a place where a loss like Georgia and Clemson, it would sting the next morning, but then by the night, I'm usually pretty good. This 12 p.m. game this past Saturday, it was over and I really didn't let it get me down. And I love the Tigers just as much. And it was really encouraging. So I work real hard in this weird brain of mine, and I want to share some thoughts and things I've told myself through the years, reminders, new neural pathways of watching sports. And I'm selling my 10 quick and easy steps of you doing this. I'm just kidding. But I'll say this. I had a problem. At the very least, I'll say that I was at least in a way that I did not want to be anymore. And so now I'm going to share what I've learned, and you're going to listen or you're going to push stop. And while I get to do this, I've got 3 buddies who I get to talk sports with, as well as share with them more of these issues. And we're also going to talk about trash talking, media trashing athletes, and whether the media can go too far. But thanks. I'm old. I'm having conversations that I want to have, and I appreciate you putting up with me for sharing stuff like this. And don't worry, these guys give me crap for it too. For regular listeners of the show, Stoy is on extra fire today. I had to bring a little fire extinguisher, but it didn't work. Stoy's just relentless. I mean, he's trying to say I'm morally obligated by God himself to be a fan of Michael Jordan. I'm totally putting words in Stoy's mouth, but you'll have to wait on that one. All right, it's me, Stoy, and 2 new people to the show, but 2 homies to me. It's how to be a big sports fan and not hate life when your team loses. It's the Pastor with No Answers, and we've got a special episode for you today. And although we talk a lot about sports and some of our most devastating losses as sports fans and our sweetest victories, I also want to share what I'd call a pretty significant journey in my life that is a bit embarrassing to talk about. But it's also a special episode because we have 2 new guests on at the same time. 2 close friends of mine. I've known Heather Cam for 20 plus years now. She lived in Charleston for a good little while. Became a Christian there, if I'm not mistaken. We went to the same church for a long time, Seacoast, but you're back in your hometown. I won't say where that is yet because I don't want to give away your favorite team and why you and your team's fan base are some of the most patient ever and most heartbroken. and then we have Dick Alderman, who is none other than Amy Alderman's husband. You hear us talk a lot about Dick on this podcast. Well, here he is. And Heather and Dick, I've got a funny story to tell y'all about Stoy. So Heather, Stoy and I, we were childhood friends.
I'm sorry, Stoy, for that.
Shut up, Heather. Whatever.
Oh, I like Heather already. Like, she's quick with it. She's quick with it. I like that.
So it was 4th grade, but it's funny because Heather, you know how my memory is. It's pretty ridiculous, and so I'll think of stuff to bring up to Stoy that I know he doesn't remember. And since we're talking about sports, I brought this up to you on the podcast, Stoy, and I just loved your answer. I said, "Stoy, do you remember?" And I'm thinking to myself, of course he doesn't. But it was like in middle school, man. And I asked you who your NCAA basketball team was. And you remember what you told me, right? Who your team was. And Stoy's like, I don't know who my team was. And I said, you told me Louisville. And Stoy, you remember what you told me on the podcast? Why you said Louisville?
No, what'd I say?
You said because you said you guarantee because at the time you didn't have a team, but you didn't want to sound stupid, so you just said the
like
first
me.
team that came.
That sounds like me. I'll say something when you probably said NCAA. I was like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like let me throw something out there so I don't look dumb. But
you said it with some confidence though, because I remember thinking Louisville, huh? don't know of too many people with that favorite team.
Well, if you would have took it to the next level and said name somebody, I probably would have been lost.
So Heather, we've been close friends for a while, but to be exact, I'm 47 right now, and we hung out a lot. Like we were in each other's lives a lot. You worked with Priscilla. I think Priscilla was instrumental in hiring you on, but it was around the time when I was 24 to 34. So dumb as hell. I thought dumber than what I am right now. Hopefully I've matured a good bit, but I mean,
Joey, you be setting yourself up, man. I'm going to just let
Stoy, I don't need you right now, man. I don't need you right now.
I'm going to let that one ride. But he was wide open. You were wide open right there. Dumber than you are now.
But Heather, I asked you if you wanted to bring a few Joey stories that I likely won't remember.
Oh,
are there some low-hanging fruit
lots of stories? I was thinking earlier today, like the one where I knew you were definitely crazy. Me, you, and Priscilla had gone to the gym. You were wearing shorts and like a polo.
Oh, I remember.
Polo
I actually
shirt.
do remember.
You had your socks pulled up to your knees, and they were like black socks. And you looked. Yes, you.
I was dressed like a 45-year-old as a 25-year-old,
and I was making fun of you. I was making fun of your socks, and I think.
And then Priscilla started laughing.
Yeah, and then I think it was Priscilla that actually told me to do it, and you looked straight at me, total deadpan, and was like,
after you made fun of me, after I made
fun of you, and you said, now look what you did. Now Priscilla is going to get beat tonight. And I was like, I was like, oh my God.
Gonna get beat.
Serious.
Yeah. Stoy, she believed me. She gave me a look of horror, and I immediately had to be like, I'm just kidding. I was like, I know you just met me, but I don't beat my wife. Like, I had to immediately be like, oh my gosh, I joked too far.
Well, I could understand that. I want to know if the socks, was it like party socks, like tube socks, or was it like church socks?
No, I think it was like those ones
Easter.
like that your dad wears, like you wears them with the dad shoes, and he pulls them up and they got the stripes on the top.
Oh, no,
it was bad.
Joey.
It was really bad.
No. Nah. Yeah,
it was.
That's crazy. Well, I don't have any old stories because my memory is terrible. I know Joey now he's work boy, because he say things and do things where you can tell his mind is going, and you're like, Joey, it's not that serious for us, but he takes it 3 levels past where we're at, and he's like, I just thought about it, and I was wondering if you were thinking like how I'm thinking, and when I'm like, nah, probably not, like not even close.
Yeah, well, this episode, I promise you, is a perfect example of that. And like I said, it's a bit embarrassing for me to articulate some things to y'all that I'm going to get to. But as I get older, I care a bit, shall I say, a lot less about I'm just not embarrassed about opening up about silly things, because I just recognize how life is. But here's why it's embarrassing. It's an admission to how much I think about stuff like this. What I want to talk about is how I have learned to be a huge sports fan, which I am, without letting huge losses ruin my freaking life. And so sports was an idol in my life for a long time. During those times, I theorized that it was just part of the cost of being a huge sports fan was being really disappointed on game days unless your team won. And if you care a lot, you love the wins. If you don't care a lot, then losing doesn't matter, but neither does the winning. And I've also, just so I don't sound too crazy, I have had friends tell me, man, I just had to walk away from sports, man. It just got me too upset. I know we've had a few people flip to their second favorite podcast already, but we've got some listeners' attention right now. Chicago Bear fans, South Carolina Gamecock fans. Sorry, Dick, saying, help me, please, God. I want to hear this conversation. But before we do that, I want to talk sports. I did ask you guys to do some homework. I wanted to hear who are 5 of your favorite athletes, and I made it easy on you. I didn't say who are your 5 favorite athletes of all time, because then you'd want to rack your brains out. Who are 5 of your favorites? And I get to go first. So
I was about to jump in there and say I'll go first, but go ahead, Joey.
Go ahead, Stoy.
No,
I'm a Christ. No, I'm a Christ follower.
No,
I'm a Christ follower.
You run things.
You go
ahead.
first. Okay. So the first one on my list, he's special because he's the only non-Packer or Celtic player, and that's David Robinson. He's definitely one of my all-time favorites. I just love how he plays. I loved how he looked. I love his personality. And then it's the 2 Kevins, my favorite.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
You love how he looked. Explain that one now. What do you mean?
He looks like a chill dude.
Well, why don't you
smile.
throw that in there too? Don't just breeze by. I love how he looked, and then just go right by that.
But people know that I'm not. People know I'm not gay, so they had to have just known that, right? I mean, can a heterosexual not admire how another guy looks? I think you look chill.
No, well, say that. But if you say
chill,
if you say Stoy, I like how you look, and just stop, I'm be like,
Heather, what do you think about that? Heather, do you think I should change my wording?
You be you, Joey.
Oh, look at there.
No,
me be me, Stoy.
I like that answer. I'm just saying, while we were talking, it didn't feel right to just brush by that without clarification. That's all.
Gotcha.
I'm saying.
Okay.
But I like be you. Do you?
I feel you. All right, so my 2 favorite NBA basketball players, they're both Kevins. My favorite's Kevin Garnett, second favorite Kevin McHale, and then it was hard to pick out of the Packers, but I love Favre and I love Reggie White. And it's funny with these, so those are my 5, and a lot of them, like with Favre, I mean, God bless the guy off the field, but I love Brett Favre's excitement on the field. It seems like his personal life may be a tiny bit of a mess, whereas with David Robinson, for example, it's I was about to say the whole package, but then I got to hear Stoy bring up something like I'm talking about his body. I mean, like his whole life, what he represents, what he stands for.
Be yourself.
No.
See, there's layers. That's why I needed clarification.
All right, Dick, your 5 of your favorite athletes.
Number 1 would be Dale Murphy.
So this is order of your favorites. Did you go like these are literally my favorites?
Number 1, and then the rest kind of are all in a group.
Okay.
Number 1, Dale Murphy.
Okay. By the way, Heather has a real problem with what is on your sweatshirt. If that doesn't give you a hint of who her favorite team is. 4 years in a row. Go ahead. Go ahead, Dick. 4 years.
I noticed.
So number 1 would be Dale Murphy from the Braves. Just kind of childhood hero, especially early. I've been a Braves fan since I was probably 5 or 6. So from the early 80s, we had that suffering up until they got good in the early 90s. So he was kind of like the hero, the only guy that was MVP caliber, a good player on that team. Then second would be, next I'll just do Greg Maddux, who also pitched for the Braves in the 90s, won 4 straight Cy Youngs. Just one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
So was he the best out of that crew, like Avery and Schmaltz and all those guys?
I think
he was probably the best regular season pitcher. He really struggled in the postseason, to be honest. Schmaltz was the guy.
Yeah.
Schmaltz was the number 1 rotation guy once it got to the playoffs. He would pitch game 1, 4, and 7. He was the guy they leaned on the most at that once it got to crunch time. But I mean, Maddux was just a different. I mean, he's just he was a brilliant. He just outsmarted everybody. I mean, that was his thing. He wasn't the most powerful guy. He knew every batter inside and out and what their strengths and weaknesses were.
Well, I grew up in a Braves household, so that's why I was chiming in. My bad, Dick. That ain't my team.
No, you're good, Stoy. You're good.
That was my mama and my brother's team. So, I mean, Braves were on the TV all the time. All the time.
Yep.
So I just found myself watching it with them, and and Braves had a lineup. I could tell you their whole lineup from start to finish, and just because of how much my family loved them. But go ahead, you're number three.
I've never asked you this, Dick. Do you like the Braves more than the Cowboys? Like, does one come out on top as like your team?
I think early on childhood, I would say probably Braves, but I mean, just because I played baseball growing up, so that was baseball was always the thing. But I would say after probably the early '90s with the Cowboys' success, even though the Braves were really successful then too, I would say probably
Wrong
Cowboys.
answer, Dick.
And then Carolina. And then Carolina.
Now,
where's Carolina Gamecocks in the mix?
I mean, they're right up there.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of disappointment with all three of those franchises, at different points. Carolina pretty consistently, but the other two did have some success.
Yeah.
And then my other three are just, the triplets from the 90s Cowboys, Aikman.
Let me guess.
Okay.
All right. So I guess the big three. Ooh, well, let me see. I would say Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, and then Sanders.
Michael
or would
Irvin.
you go
Michael Irvin?
No,
Irvin.
Michael Irvin.
Irvin.
Yeah,
Okay.
Irvin. Yeah.
Sweet. That was one hell of a run, man. Maybe the most dominant team in history as far as how bad they beat teams. Man, Heather, I love you. I love you. It's painful to even talk about this.
Close,
it's painful.
Joey. That's a terrible statement.
Thank you.
That's
a
terrible statement.
Well, I'm a Packer fan, so I don't want to admit it, but I can't think of another more dominating team than that.
Well, that's because the Cowboys dominated the Packers during that time.
The Patriots went undefeated.
I hate
and they
Tom
lost.
Brady, but I got to admit the Patriots.
Man,
Dallas
that's interesting, man.
Close to the most dominant. They had a nice little run, but you never got on the field and not think Dallas could lose this game. You know what I'm saying? Like the Patriots, when the Patriots played, you just expected a victory.
Yeah. Except when Favre played at Texas Stadium, that you knew the Packers were going to lose.
That's a good one, Dick. That's a good.
That is true.
That's a dig.
That is true. All right, Heather.
Okay.
I will. Hey, I will say that the Packers have won 2 Super Bowls since Dallas's Super Bowl.
And we've won 2 playoff games since our last Super Bowl. So,
Dick.
My team is Chicago, so y'all, we haven't seen a Super Bowl since '85. So
listen, don't talk to me about Super Bowls.
Dick, I'm really interested because one of my questions is most devastating losses, and I'm curious as to whether or not this last one makes your list. But we're not there yet. Heather, who are your top 5 athletes that you wrote down?
So I kind of jumped a little bit between sports here. Michael Jordan. Just because, I was big into basketball in high school.
There you go.
And so I love the Bulls. I was a huge fan.
All these men on here, and you're the first one making sense. Like, you starting off making sense.
Right?
You know?
I mean, don't talk to me about LeBron. Don't talk to me about LeBron, because I don't even know who that is. And then, obviously... once you know this name, you're going to know who my team is. Josh Allen is, of course, my boy.
Buffalo.
Ride or die. Okay. And
hey, is he? Would you say he's more beloved at this point than Kelly or long way off?
Oh no, he's done surpassed it. He's way over.
Really?
The top. Yep.
Yeah, long time.
Really?
Josh Allen is the most popular
I'm actually
athlete
shocked.
in the Buffalo area, without a doubt.
That's a hell of an accomplishment, considering. And I'm one of those guys, Heather, who has Buffalo's back, while people are trashing them for losing 4 Super Bowls in a row. And although that is devastating, I'm like, there's a team in NFL history that went to the Super Bowl for almost half of the decade. That's insane, and we don't talk about that enough. If they would have just won one of them, it'd be a whole different vibe. Whole different vibe.
Well,
yeah, don't remember me for going to the dance. I mean, come on. I don't want to be remembered for that.
That's all right. Get ready. It's coming. Get ready.
All right, give me the rest. Give me the rest of those Bills.
Actually, Freddie Jackson. He's just real down to earth. Still is in the Buffalo area. Still does a ton of stuff with the community. Like, he just really was all in from day one. So I love me some Freddie Jackson. And this is gonna,
What did he play?
huh?
I love Freddie Jackson too, the singer. But
Right.
what did what position did that Freddie Jackson play?
Running back. He was
I
at
don't
Cole
remember.
College. And then he played like wanna say, I can't remember if it was the XFL or CFL for a couple seasons. And he played for us for like 3 or 4 seasons, and he's still one of the top running
Was he
backs.
a backup behind Thurman Thomas?
No, this was
Who was he
post.
backing up?
He was around like when Shady was here, like LaShawn McCoy
Okay,
and
McCoy.
well shoot, I can't even remember now. You're quizzing me here. I can't think of it.
Yeah, is that really your team, Heather? Is that really your team?
Listen, just because I'm old,
I'm just messing with you. I'm
don't
just
mess
messing
with
with
me.
you. I'm just messing with you. Go
Joey
ahead.
knows it's my team all day long.
Well,
So let's see. One hockey one was, of course, Dominic Hasek, arguably the best NHL goalie of all time. And
You said off course, and I didn't know who you was
you
talking
don't know
about.
who
I thought
Dominic
you
Hasek
was going to
is?
say Gretzky or something.
What?
I thought you was going to say Gretzky.
No. Boy won 6 Vezina trophies in 8 seasons as a Sabres
No,
goalie.
look, Heather. Look, Heather.
Listen. Look it up.
I black.
Heather, hey, Heather, sometimes you have
It's
to pause
impressive.
and just let Stoy believe that he is in control.
No.
So go ahead, Stoy.
Well,
go ahead.
Joey, you already showed him I'm not in control because you made me last when I said I would go first.
See what happened there?
You did that. But nah, go ahead. I'm sorry,
It's
Heather.
okay.
I'm being silly.
The last one is my favorite quarterback of the previous era was Dan Marino, Miami Dolphins quarterback, which is kind of weird. I really respected his game and just really liked how he played and was always like backing up his guys and everything. So
I think I told you he's probably one of the most famous people that I met. I met him once. All right, Story, you got some favorite athletes? Sometimes you rebel and you're like, I ain't doing these homework assignments. I respect that. So I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't have your 5.
No, I got my 5.
Okay.
But number 1 is Jordan. Like, I don't know how you could start off any all-time list ever in any sporting thing without saying Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't say the best athletes. I said our favorite. So you mean to tell me everybody's favorite has to be Michael Jordan?
My turn, Joey. My turn. So
this is a weird thing to say, man.
No, you ain't even let me finish my sentence. So see that you jump too early. So if you got a list and Michael Jordan ain't number 1, at least he could be number 2 or number 3. But y'all named 5 and ain't named him one time. I'm like, what's wrong? I really got some questions for you and Dick. I do. I'm
just not a basketball guy.
No, y'all.
I mean, that's why he wasn't on my list.
Oh, okay, Dick. I'll let that one ride for right now. But Joey, I don't understand.
Do you know how many athletes there are? I respect the hell out of Michael Jordan. I think he's the best of all time. He's on my top 50 favorite athletes. I don't care about no Michael Jordan. Why would I?
See,
you're ridiculous.
You hear how you said that? I think he's the best of all time, but he's not.
Why does he have to be my favorite?
What? Man,
why would he have to be my favorite? That doesn't make any sense, Story.
No.
Now, Matt,
no, you said on the list of favorites. You didn't say
5 of your favorite players. He's not one of my favorite players. I'm not like a Michael Jordan fan.
Well,
okay, let me finish my list. I don't understand how people can watch sports and witness the greatest of anything in a sport and that not
okay. I'm feeling you right now. I'm feeling you. Go ahead.
Not have that somewhere on your radar, but that's okay, Joey. We'll talk about that later. Let me finish my list. All right.
I'm a fan of his game.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of his game.
So am I. And number 2 for me is Walter Payton.
Sweetness, baby.
I think the greatest running back ever, and of course that was my team. This one
Screw
of my
Emmitt Smith, Dick.
favorite guys. I mean, this one is iffy, but I liked him because he had a little swag about him. You know, I like that he didn't really care what people thought. Jim McMahon, which was Chicago's quarterback during that time. Now, and another one, Deion Sanders, because I love how he impact the game. I'm a
Heather
kinda,
just broke up with you.
I'm a kind of flashy guy,
Dude is
you
a
know.
fool.
So
I can't stand him.
you don't like him?
Uh-uh.
Well, I love him. Like he just when he played the game, like he was straight up. That was me on the football field. Like I would tell people I'm gonna score a touchdown. They couldn't stop me. You know what I mean? So that I was just that kind of trash talker. I know we're gonna get into that, but I was next level with my trash talking. It's a psychological thing, you know. You got to get in your
Yeah,
opponent's
because he's straight
head,
up
you know.
crazy.
Yeah.
Psychological.
No.
Looney Tunes.
and number 5. I don't know if y'all consider wrestling a sport. Do y'all consider that a sport? They're athletes,
like WWE.
They're athletic actors, right?
No. Well, they're putting on a show, but they are athletes. The things they do require them to be in tip-top shape. You know what I mean?
So I would put them in the same category as cheerleaders then, and I mean that. They both require tippy-top. Listen. I wasn't even trying to make a joke. I'm being serious. They both have to be tippy-top shape, but it's more of an art. It's a presentation. They're doing a performance. So I would say pro wrestling and cheerleading are on the same level in that regard. I'm not cutting either one of them down.
Wow.
I'm with you, Stoy. They're athletes.
Okay.
So are cheerleaders.
Okay. Well, since
so are cheerleaders.
Well, me and Dick already
Heather, are
said
cheerleaders
they
athletes?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, what's up? What's up?
Me and Dick already say they athletes. So I'm gonna go on with my number 5. I'm gonna say Stone Cold Steve Austin because
Dion.
Don't say that.
But and let me tell y'all why though. Let me give
Dick, look at Stoy's face, man. Dick, look at his face. It is lit up.
No. Listen.
Out of all those guys, man, I've never seen you happier. You're happier than when you said Jordan.
No.
When you said Austin, you are happier right now.
Because
do you like the way he looks, Stoy?
I'm happy because we accepted him as an athlete. I caught that, Dick. You see?
Is he the full package?
So let me tell y'all why though. This is the most important reason, like why I like Stone Cold so much. And I love wrestling, so I grew up watching wrestling. But if y'all haven't noticed, Chicago is my team in everything. Chicago Bears, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Blackhawks. They're my team with everything. That's because of Michael Jordan. So once Jordan came to Chicago, I just felt like if he's in that city, everybody gonna be great. Like that. That's just what I thought. But
I know so many other guys our age that have said the same thing, man. I love it.
But Stone Cold, let me tell y'all why y'all can critique me or say what you want about it, but Joey, you said they're entertainers or they're not, they just putting on a show or whatnot. But Stone Cold made you believe him. Like he was the realest fake athlete. Like he took fake to the limit. Like he stood right next to real with everything that he did. And I just love that. I love that you can convince me that you are that person, even though I know you're not. That's greatness to me. That's greatness. So that's why
that's cool, man.
One of my favorites.
That's cool. If I didn't ask for 4 athletes and an actor, but hey, you do.
I like
man.
how you took that little jab. You took a little jab at me.
It don't matter what your name is. It don't matter.
Yeah. See, Heather watched wrestling too.
Not anymore, but I did. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna run down my so I mean I have told my son got to experience his so sports it's a big deal to me. If you haven't known, Clemson Tigers football and basketball, but they're never good, but I still like it. Green Bay Packers, Boston Celtics. So my son William got to experience his first championship, he's a big Celtics fan. That is his team. He's not big on really any football team. And I told William, I said, William, this is my 6th championship to really get to enjoy. And as a Celtic fan, I remember the 80s, didn't get to enjoy them because I just wasn't as big. I admired and I would watch 10 minutes of the last fourth quarter because my dad was into it and revered those players, but my heart wasn't into it. So I enjoyed the 08 Celtics with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and this last Celtics. And 2 Clemson championships, didn't remember the one in the 80s at all. And then obviously I didn't remember any of the old school Packer stuff, but the 90s run, the 96 win, and then the one with Aaron Rodgers, the most devastating losses. And this wasn't that hard. So Clemson doesn't really make the list. I know there were some heartbreaking games way back in the day, but once they got to be at a place where they could win national championships, it was hard to recently it's been hard to really be upset about big losses because I'm like, Clemson just won 2 national championships. I tell this to Dick all the time, him being a big Carolina fan. It's like, I'm a happy Clemson fan forever now. Like, I really didn't think as a kid that I would ever see them win 2 national championships. But the second, so I put these in order from the least painful to the most painful. I'm telling you, these all stung. One of them was a Clemson basketball game. It was in the 8th grade. Stoy, you may remember some of these names: Eldon Campbell, Dale Davis. Both of them ended up in the NBA, but they were getting beat really bad by UConn. I remember asking my dad, have you ever seen a team come back from this far behind in a game like this? He said, no. Well, Clemson did, and they had these guys down by 1 point with 1 second left on the clock, and the team had to throw the ball in from the other side of the court. So as Clemson fans, we're like, the game's locked. And they throw the ball all the way full court, and this guy, Tate George, gets the ball and in 1 second puts a shot up for a win. I went to bed crying. I think I was in the 8th grade. Then the second Packers Super Bowl of the 90s with Favre, they lost to Elway. So now as an older guy, I can look back and be, I'm glad John Elway got that Super Bowl ring. But that was a tough one as a youngster, man. Huge Packer fan, losing the Super Bowl. That was tough. Celtics 2010. Game 7, it was when Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett were trying to win another one. And the thing that stung about that, Kobe's greatness obviously ruled the day, but our big man, Kendrick Perkins, did not get to play Game 7, and the Celtics did not lose that game by much. So as a Celtics fan, I'm like, man, they would have won that if they would have had big Kendrick in there. Then the last 2 are Packers losses. One was a divisional playoff. It was these are, I think, the 2 best Packer teams, 2 of the greatest Packer teams that just flopped for ridiculous reasons. One was the 03 Packers. You had Brett Favre in the divisional playoffs. They're beating Philadelphia, who they were kind of unstoppable. They were a stout team. And we had those guys 4th, I think it was 4th and 27 in the 4th quarter. If we stop them, game over. We're going to the NFC Championship, and they get it. And then we get the ball back, and Favre just throws up like a Hail Mary for no reason, and it was a pickoff. Devastating. And then this one, I would say by a mile, 2014 NFC Championship. I looked this up. So this is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. This is the year Seattle Seahawks were unfreaking stoppable. And it was an NFC Championship at their place. With 11 minutes left, the Packers were winning 19-7 and intercepted the ball and lost that game. And I'll never forget Priscilla having the nerve to ask me why I'm so upset. I was like, my life is freaking ruined. You know how excited I was about this, thinking there's no way the Packers are going to win this. And then the whole time the football gods are dangling this carrot in front of me like we're going to the Super Bowl, and then it gets zapped in the last 10 minutes. I won't make you guys spout off 5 like that, but tell me some of...
We won't. Like, I can tell you.
Hey, did you enjoy that? That was kind of fun to listen to, right?
I didn't know it had to go in like that. I'm like, what? He not even going to speak on the moment. You were like, yes, and the first time I did this and da-da-da-da-da. And then the second time was when I thought we was going to talk about it or something.
Feel free to ask questions.
No, I don't remember.
I don't care.
You went through.
I don't remember
that Packers loss to the Eagles was devastating to me too, because I hate the Eagles, obviously.
Yeah.
So I mean that was a gut punch to me as well. I remember that game.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, and I'll say a blast from the past name for me, Toby Morrell made a very interesting comment that year. Dick, Toby said that whole year was cursed for the NFC in the playoffs, because I'm pretty sure that was the year that Detroit, this is crazy. Detroit and Dallas played. There was a bogus interference call that gave Dallas the game, pissed Detroit fans off. Then the very next game, you have the catch by Dez in the end zone, one of the most controversial plays ever that gave Packers. That gave Packers the win.
You don't think so? Let's debate that. Heather said, was it?
According to the rules, it was not a catch.
Heather said,
the rule was bad.
According to everybody's eyeballs, it was a catch.
But check this out. So the Packers go on to go to Seattle and lose in that bizarre fashion. There was an onside kick. All they had to do was catch it, and some dumbass jumped when he wasn't supposed to. But listen, this is the same year when it was one of the craziest Super Bowls of all time, when Seattle had the game by just handing it off to beast mode. That's the year they threw it. That was the craziest playoff and Super Bowl run maybe in history, and it really did feel like it was just cursed.
Well, and let me ask you a quick question before somebody tell their story. When all of those things were happening in the NFC, they had to have been playing another NFC team, right?
Yeah, the NFC playoffs, they were all playing. So it just. Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
no, it felt
been
like
a
one of the
curse because somebody was getting blessed from it. Like
right. No, but the NFC ended up losing the Super Bowl, so they ended up in demise. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But at the same time, I mean, Dallas got that interference call that bumped them to the second round. They didn't get the Dez call. Packers won that game. Packers got, screwed at the end, or, ended up losing after being up in the championship game. And then same thing with Seattle last minute,
Well.
So I see where, it was a curse because
they screwed themselves.
Every team got a bump and then got bumped out the next.
Was that the Marshawn Lynch year?
All right, y'all.
Yeah. Oh, the dumbest call ever.
Yep. Oh, it's crazy. There was a Seattle fan, Dick, Andy was watching it with us, and he told me after the fact, he said, I'm not gonna lie, man. He said, I got up and went into another room and shed some tears and then came back and hung with you guys. But that was if you're a sports fan and you're a big Seattle guy, that's a devastating way to lose a game. My gosh. Dick, was this last playoffs with how highly anticipatory of a playoff run people were putting the Cowboys at? And I don't even mean this in a trash talk way. I mean it in a very straightforward. I mean, just getting your asses handed to you by the Packers. I mean, there's no way that had to come across trash talking.
I get it. I know, but I know how you mean it. I mean, I know what you mean.
Does that make your list? Because you told me this year it stung.
It stung, but it doesn't make my list because Dallas has found a way to snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory so many times.
They've had some worse ones,
Nothing surprises me with the Jones running that organization anymore. So.
All right, give me some of your big ones.
All right, so probably my biggest one would be the Carolina Clemson, the 63-17.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
You remember
Clemson,
that story? You remember that story?
Nope.
I think that happened the year after the Rod Gardner push off, or at least it was close in time, to that. So that was irritating, and I feel like, I was like, oh wait, I think Carolina had at least a decent shot at winning that game, and for them to just, from the very get-go, just come out and, it was demoralizing. I don't know if this would be next, but it's up there. The Game 7, the World Series in '91 when the Braves played the Twins, that was the miracle year, worst to first. We made it all the way to Game 7, lost, I think it was 1-0 in Game 7, and there were some BS calls in that game that kind of tainted it too. And that was, especially because I think I would have been 13. So, that would have been at the height of me really caring about it. And it was just devastating to me.
You okay, Dick?
And then,
are you okay?
Don't cry.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been what? How long is that? 35 years.
But still, I felt it for
years.
you. I felt it. I couldn't feel none of Joey's. Like he breezed through them so fast. But I felt yours. Are you good, Dick? You good?
I'm good. I'm good now. I'm good now. Yeah.
I'll give you a virtual hug. I understand.
Hey, any Dallas losses in there?
Have to be.
There's all kinds of them.
Yeah, there are, but there's, like I said, like
there's just so
they just
many.
get all muddled in my head that just,
Well, let me ask you this: who's the more nightmarish quarterback when it comes to the Packers? All joking aside, do you hate Favre or Rodgers worse? And I think it's Rodgers.
I don't hate either. I like both of them actually, but as far as like as a competitor standpoint, it would have to be Rodgers because I think he's undefeated, or we only beat him that first, technically that game he took over for Favre when Favre went down. He didn't start that game, obviously. I think that's the only time Dallas has beaten Aaron Rodgers. So
yeah,
I think it would have to be Rodgers.
Yeah, Rodgers.
I'll have to send you a picture that I have of William with Jim McMahon that he took just recently. His friend at school is the son of one of the band members of Hootie and the Blowfish. So they mix with, a lot of older athletes and musicians. And so they got to go to a golf tournament. So I was like, William, if you see Sterling Sharp or Jim McMahon, you get a picture with those guys. And I got a picture of William with both of those guys. All right, Stoy, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say something about Rodgers. Rodgers was more calculated than Brett Favre. Brett Favre, if you were the opposing team, you had to love him because he could throw 6 touchdowns, but he'll also throw 17 interceptions to get that. So being on the opposing team, you would love that. Like, Brett Favre about to do something crazy anyways. So that's why I was going to answer for Dick, but he said the right thing. Rodgers.
And that's why I think that Brett Favre belongs maybe or definitely in the greatest natural talent discussion. But as far as all-time greats, it was fun to watch. But you can't, in my opinion, be that reckless with the ball. We're talking about at the peak of your career when you are playing on the Minnesota Vikings and you can get them into the Super Bowl and you make a rookie mistake in the NFC Championship by running one direction and throwing cross field. It's like that's not greatest of all time sort of caliber. And I love Favre. He was in my list, man. I love Brett Favre.
I love Favre too, but he's not on my 50th. He's not even on my list. Like he wouldn't even register on like my 50th greatest, Like I love him though.
Okay.
I hear
you. I hear you.
How good do you think he could have been if he wasn't doped up on pills half his career?
Right? Well, he wouldn't have been able to run then.
that-
He wouldn't have been able to run anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
All right, Heather, all joking aside, were you old enough to really feel the sting of 4 Super Bowls in a row? And you know how I feel about those Super Bowls, man.
Right.
That's a big accomplishment. I'm not throwing shade on Buffalo at all.
Yes, you are.
Were you old?
Yeah.
Shut up, Stoy. Were you old?
That's a slow dig. That's his dig. I'm telling you.
Were you old enough to feel it? That's 4 years.
I don't know if I was old enough at the time to really appreciate it.
It's
But
retroactive
definitely,
pain.
like the other day, we were watching, I think, a preseason game, and the kicker missed the field goal, and it went to the right, and my husband goes,
Wide right?
Wide right. Why? I said, why are you saying that phrase in my house? Get out. I said, it's not give me PTSD. I'm like, I can't. So definitely that one, my dad used to have season tickets back in the day. Now we'll never be able to afford them again because we're building a new stadium, and it's like ridiculous. But I definitely remember those. I remember the Dallas losses, like just painful. For hockey, there was one back in '99. There was the Sabres were in the Stanley Cup Finals. It was Game 6, and it was all tied up. And I think it was in like the third overtime. Nobody scored in the 2 overtimes before that. It ended with Brett Hull getting a goal, except his toe, the toe of his skate was in the crease. And at that time,
I think
that
I
was a
remember
thing.
that. And I'm not even a hockey fan.
And it was supposed to not be there, right? Well, there was some like weird thing where they said, okay, well, it would have been okay because it was in and then it was out and then it was in again before he shot the puck or whatever. And we just think of it as no goal because it should have been no goal. The Sabres should have won, but so that was pretty crazy. And then obviously the recent playoff losses to stupid Kansas City. I could still picture Diggs in my head all day long, standing there staring at Kansas City celebrating.
The greatest NFL game
All
of
time.
all time, and you were on the other
Oh
side of it.
man, I was like,
Craziest game of all
it was
time.
so fun to watch, but then I was so crushed at the end because y'all, this team has never been good my whole life, right? I'm used to the Bills losing. Like we just suck all the time. And like these last couple of years have been really fun, but man, I think it makes it hurt worse actually.
Well, I felt your pain, Heather. You okay?
Thank you. I might need to cry for a minute, but I'll be okay.
Yeah. See, Joey, that's how you tell greatest hurt of all time. Like you don't just brush through it like it's.
Stoy, do you have your list, man?
No, yeah,
Do you have your list, man?
I got my list. I'm waiting. Heather, you done?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well, let me tell y'all this. Like I was sorting through all of these losses and all of that stuff. And then it just dawned on me like the only time I was absolutely crushed and torn up as a kid. I mean, this like, now that I think about it, hold on.
You need a tissue.
Keep it together, man.
I don't know if y'all remember this, but
go find Dak Prescott. He might have some tissues for you.
No. Y'all might not remember this, but Dusty Rhodes was going for the heavyweight championship. And let me tell y'all, they jumped him, like they jumped him in the parking lot and they beat him like he was bleeding. Like he was bleeding from his forehead. And I promise y'all, I cried so much. Like that thing.
Are you being serious?
Yes. Like that thing hurt me to my core. Like that was the biggest, greatest sports loss that I ever suffered as a kid. Like that.
Are you serious?
Like yeah,
because you probably believed it was true.
Yeah, we. I mean, yeah, I thought it was true. What do you think? I'm a kid. Like I didn't know this. That was real blood. I gonna tell you, that was real blood I saw. Like that wasn't no catch up or nothing like that. And they beat him. Like they ganged him, and then he tried to go to the match, and still got beat and lost to Ric Flair. And oh man, do y'all remember the Four Horsemen?
I do, but I was more of a WWF guy personally, and I think that makes me more of a poser because the NWA?
Yes.
But I will say this, and I did like Dusty Rhodes, and this will sound like an insult, and I don't mean it, but
yes, you do.
Is always,
Joey, every time you say them low
this
premises,
is not it's a mystery.
Go ahead.
It's a mystery.
Okay, go ahead.
Dusty Rhodes is one of the most beloved wrestlers ever, and I'm telling you, he doesn't have the muscles. He doesn't look like an athlete. He's not an attractive guy. He looks sloppy, and he doesn't even have a mask or a gimmick.
How does he
it's
look,
just
Joey?
a first name and a last name, and he's flabby. And he kicks ass. Like he beats these huge musculars. Like, I mean, he would beat a stone cold Steve Austin sort of guy. And you're like, how is this guy so beloved? And how is he doing so well? You got to tell me. You have to admit that's a mystery.
No, that's
Dusty Rhodes.
That's not
beating
a mystery.
Ric Flair.
That's not a mystery when you can fight. You can fight. People can fight from all different. It doesn't matter your size or anything. You just got to know how to fight.
He has heart, is what you're saying.
No, he know how to fight. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying what I say.
Like he's a scrapper.
But I want to know what does he look like to you? You think he should go to the ring and get beat up?
No, I just think it's super interesting. I can't think of another wrestler who is that beloved. Like think about the big ones. Hulk Hogan. He was muscular. He was known for how huge his biceps were.
Everyone I can say the alternative that's not muscular, but go ahead. You say Hulk Hogan, I say
okay, all right. Hey, we'll do a wrestling conversation later. Let me ask you guys this. Do you like to see other fans crushed? When your team beats another team, do you enjoy seeing the other fans crushed?
When it's Kansas City or Dallas, yes.
So yeah, you find pleasure in that. I mean, y'all, that's probably pretty normal, right, Stoy?
No, I don't really think about the other fans. I'd be too busy thinking about myself. Like I'm so happy if my team, I'm enjoying. I'm not going to ruin my joy by thinking about unhappy thoughts. If that makes sense. Like no, I don't care what the other fans are doing. I just want to celebrate my win.
How about you, Dick?
Yeah, I mean, not individual fans, but I would say a fan base. Yes, especially Philly. Any Phillies, Eagles. I mean,
that hurt even more. That hurt even more. You didn't put a name to it. You said a whole fan base.
In the 90s, Veterans Stadium had a magistrate judge and a jail cell in their stadium that was only open 8 days a year. And it was the 8 home games of the Philadelphia Eagles because their fans are so trash that they couldn't even enjoy a game without getting arrested and detained.
Yeah, Buffalo fans
in their own stadium. Yeah, I mean, they would put D-cell batteries and snowballs and throw them at the opposing players.
That's kind of clever.
I mean, I
don't want to tell you what they threw on the field when Tom Brady was in town in Buffalo. I can't talk about it.
Well, he deserved it. So
you're right about that.
He deserved it. Was it a karate instructor?
I don't think so. It's not PG. I can't talk about it.
What? You can talk about it. Go ahead. What was it?
They would throw.
It's okay.
They would throw dildos on the field at Tom Brady. I'm not even joking.
You can't talk about that, Heather.
See?
You can't talk about that.
Heather, did you say the D word?
I didn't.
Heather, did you say?
I didn't know it was gonna go there. I was just. I didn't know I was gonna go there.
I told you.
Heather, he's messing.
You're gonna
with
have to. You're gonna have to bleep that out, Joey.
No,
Just
we
the
don't.
pause button.
No.
Beep.
You must not know this cast. Trust me.
Hey, all right. Do you guys enjoy talking trash to opposing teams? Fan base. Do you enjoy it?
Absolutely.
You love it.
Absolutely.
Before games and after games, when it goes your way, you love it all. Hey, we're gonna kick your ass. Your team sucks. Hey, you get ready, man. When that clock goes to 0, we're gonna be winning this game and moving on. Like y'all like to talk trash from beginning to end, sort of thing.
And then in between.
Well, I'm definitely a pre trash talker. I'm a pre trash talker. Like
Really?
Yeah, I live in the world of I told you that was going to happen. Like that's part of the mystique. You know what I mean? That gives it a little more kick if you can predict something that's going to happen before it happens. Because everybody can talk shit after a win, or you know what I mean? Like, yeah, our team is the greatest, but you wasn't feeling that confidence beforehand. I'm coming out the gate before the game even start. I'm talking shit. That's just me, because I like to get in there. I like to get in your head.
Yeah. All right. So Dick, I saw you say yes, you like talking trash. So my next question, because you and I are close friends, like do you not talk a lot of trash with me because you know I don't talk trash a lot? Because I think that I love how you and I interact with sports, and we on two football fronts, we're pretty much on the opposite end of the spectrum. We've talked about this sort of stuff. I just don't enjoy talking trash in a way of, it seems like you're relishing my pain, and it seems like you enjoy getting at me with this. I don't think you're a bad person for doing that at all. I think that would probably be where Stoy considers himself. I just don't enjoy, I would say, I don't enjoy dealing that sort of trash talking, and I'd be man enough to say I don't like receiving it. So, Dick, I know just the sort of relationship we have. If Dallas and Green Bay are at it in the playoffs next year, and Dallas, makes Jordan Love look like the worst quarterback ever and demolishes Green Bay, I'm not going to get a trash talk from you. I may even get a wow, that was surprising, man. Sorry, I know it hurts, sort of thing. Is that a special relationship between you and I? Are you talking shit to all the other Packer fans?
No, I mean, I think it depends on personality. I mean, I wouldn't say that I haven't trash talked with you because you don't trash talk, but that makes sense, But I mean, just different people at work, different people I know. I mean, and it's all in fun. Like, I'm not like hateful about it to the point where I'm going to be mean to somebody. It's all in good fun. I mean, that's kind of my sense of humor anyway. With a lot of things, is just kind of like I enjoy roasts and stuff like that. So just that level of just shit talking back and forth with people. And if it's somebody that does that a lot, that has that personality, that's I enjoy that. But at the same time, I enjoy the way you and I talk about it, like real, like we both more serious.
Yeah. Could somebody get at you in a way that starts to piss you off? Like, is there a certain
yes.
All right, and can that be done by a friend, or are strangers the only ones who have the capacity of getting at you with a team that pisses you off?
I mean, I would say it's probably more on a friend basis, but I mean,
so a friend can do that. What does it look like?
I mean, just being an asshole, really. I mean, just taking it beyond
Joey, really
good fun. Yeah. Just taking it beyond, I mean, just kind of being a jerk about it.
Dick, I think you would have an invested interest in this. It may have been this recent playoffs when Dak Prescott, I guess you would say, laid an egg against the Packers. And I enjoy Stephen A. Smith. I think he's a very entertaining guy. but how he laughed hysterically at a guy like Dak Prescott, like mocked his career, mocked, the game and all of that. And here's where I bet you we're going to beg to differ, but it's where I want to end this conversation. It's like, I recognize they make millions and they better have some tough skin because they're living the dream. Everybody knows who they are and their careers are going to be scrutinized, but they're also people. And football is the biggest thing in their lives. So it just, even though you're a sports commentator and you're paid to be entertaining, it just kind of feels like a human decency principle. Don't mock a guy at one of the lowest points of his career. Hey, what's up, recovering sports fanatic? Now, here's a big principle for me. I want to like people. It gives me good energy during the day to be a fan of people. The whole love your neighbor stuff that Jesus says, I buy into it. And I'm telling you, as a sports fan, I couldn't stand. Let me just start my list. I couldn't stand Tom Brady, Nick Saban, Russell Wilson, Kevin Durant, and all of my reasons for not liking them. They're all sports. They're game related, meaningless stuff. Man, I used to couldn't stand other fans or watching other teams celebrate, their coaches smiling. And that's not fun for me. That's not life-giving. And anyway, I'm older now. I see all these athletes as daggum kids. I want to see all the kids have fun. So another thing that occurred to me, this isn't wise, being so invested in your team winning it all. There's like 33 teams in a league. And your team winning it all, the likelihood of that happening this year, very small. Why would you torture yourself? Now, I realize that some people don't struggle with this sort of thing because your team sucks and they're rarely in the mix. But over the course of my sports fanning, the Celtics have had some good runs. The Packers have always been pretty good. And Clemson has until recently been on a tear. But even if you're lucky like me, your joy or pain is subject to one team doing it all. So here's a good recommendation. Oh yeah, a lot less pressure once you remind yourself that you have zero control over the outcome of any game. Turn on the TV, watch, let your emotions run wild, get into it. But then when it's over, go back to your life, the things that you can control. And one of those things that you get to control is being a fan of the teams that you want to be a fan of. See, that's easy. That's fun. We'll get to more of that fan stuff here in a second.
My comment was to when you said Stephen A. Smith was talking about Dak and he's a human being, and like I get what you're saying about that. The athletes are probably high level athletes are probably the most and biggest trash talkers there is. So they gotta have a level of thick skin when you're operating at the highest level and a level of understanding of other people going to have their opinion when you're on the world stage. So everybody ain't going to like you.
No, you're right. I mean, you really are. Hey, I
hear that a lot,
this is an interesting question for me. The sort of stuff that I'm talking about with sports, do y'all think, man, Joey is quirky? Or do you think, man, this is normal stuff? Joey's just the weirdo that talks about it. Like, seriously, how do y'all ingest this kind of conversation? Because I do know not everybody talks about this sort of thing, but Dick, as someone that I have hung out with the most out of you three in person in recent years, we do talk about this kind of stuff. Like, is this weird Joey sort of conversations?
Yeah.
Or
I don't. Yes and no. I mean, I think you were just a naturally inquisitive. I mean, that's just how your brain works, I think, and I think that's why you're so good at podcasting, because you think of things to talk about, and
Dick,
questions to ask. Like, it's a natural.
Dick, that was a good answer. I cut you off, but that was a good answer, man. Like, go ahead, finish that. But I'm gonna say something different. But that was a good answer.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your compliment there. But yeah, I mean, a little bit, yeah. But I mean, I think plenty of people have these conversations. I mean, it may be a little bit different because, I mean, I think your brain works different than probably 99% of the other people in the world.
Yep.
And I mean, and that's a compliment.
Everybody.
I mean that in a good way. It just, you have a unique outlook on stuff.
But this isn't. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. You know that.
No,
Is this
no.
a weird conversation? Is this weird?
He's trying
I
to
don't
get
think so.
you. Yes, it's weird in the direction that you're. It's Joeyian. You're Joeyian the conversation because you have a very unique, like Dick say, you have a very unique brain and you process things like it stays common for a little bit and then he go far left, like. Like and it's just your intricate thoughts, like, and I love that you bring it to the surface, and it poses for entertaining conversation or conversations that people wouldn't ever have, but yeah, that's why you're good at podcasting. And I'm just following what Dick said, because I said, yeah, it's weird. I was looking at the list. I was like, why are we going so deep into?
I mean, I think different's a better word. I don't think it's weird. I mean, I don't find any of these questions weird.
Well, because
you and I have had these conversations in person.
Yeah.
So
the
Well,
reality
that sounds
is
like he's rubbing off on you. You becoming a little Joey. You've been Joey.
But here's the thing. The reality is that sports do affect people like this, and sports do impact people's mental health. And I personally say this on behalf of my brothers and sisters in humans. Like, that, it's not worth it.
Well, Joey, I'm glad you're at a point where it doesn't hurt you the way that you described earlier. But I think you got a tendency to magnify everything. So I think we could talk about any category and you would say it affected you at a certain level that would be, I would be like, you don't have to think about it that deep, bro. It's not that. What
my
you think?
My therapist would concur with you on that one, brother. I'm serious. I am serious.
What you got, Heather? I heard you about to say something.
But it's a little bit deeper, like especially with football and the Bills for me. Like it's almost like I say I was born a Bills fan, just because like ever since I can remember, like there was always football on. Like my dad has always been a huge Bills fan, so like part of that is connected into my relationship with my dad, and like that's where we always talk about football and we always talk about stuff surrounding that. So it's not so much necessarily getting upset about the game, but it's definitely got more emotions tied into it than just win or lose.
Yeah, well, I was even gonna say, like, it feels like in some ways sports will always be just a game, but in some ways sports will always be more than that, and that's what makes it so awesome. Mm-hmm. That's why I love sports, because there's so much more than that. Like the fact that listen, this is just neat for me. I'm a Boston Celtics fan because my dad fell in love with the Bill Russell Celtic fans before I was born. And then I grew up with my dad rekindling his fervor for the Celtics because of the Bird and the 80s teams. He's a Packer fan because I became a Packer fan as a kid for some odd reason. I don't know why. So he followed my lead in that. And then he went to Clemson University, big time football school. I went to Winthrop, no football. So I've always been big time Clemson. My dad's up there in age. When he passes on, man, sports are a huge part of my relationship with my dad. And that what you just said about yours, Heather, my gosh, man.
Yep.
That's so true.
And I feel like,
so yeah. And I feel like what I'm wanting to, I guess, communicate is the game aspect of sports is the part that I think we can shed the pain about. But the beauty is what is so special and never goes away.
That's true. I consider the Packers my second favorite team because, like, we always watched football together when I was in South Carolina. And
Mhm.
like, I feel like we grew closer as friends, watching the games at Manny's and me telling everybody to shut up
Mhm.
because I couldn't hear the game. And, like,
You remember
Yeah.
Manny's, Dick and Stoy?
Oh yeah,
What
they had
was
the TVs
Manny's?
right at the table. Right at the table, they had the
Mhm.
TVs.
Mhm.
What's
Yeah.
Manny's?
It was right on Sam Ritt when it branches off to Cosgrove, or would that be St. Andrews? I don't know, but it was right over there by
T-Bones and
T-Bones. Yep, that's it.
Was
close
it
to
a
the North Bridge.
was it
It was like
a
food
restaurant.
hall?
It was a
Restaurant.
Greek bar
Yep.
that basically had the NFL ticket. So if you didn't pay for the NFL ticket, you could go there on a Sunday.
Oh, that was
And they
rich
had
people stuff.
every
That's rich
every
people stuff.
every table had a TV like in the booth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's rich people stuff right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stoy, you told me, I'm pretty sure, aren't you more of a player guy? Like when it comes to who you follow, like you don't really have your favorite teams as much as you have your favorite players, except that I would imagine that's post Chicago Bulls. So that's kind of your default. But I guess because those teams aren't giving you a lot of excitement, you're also big into fantasy football. And so that's a big part of your fanship now, right?
Yeah, I am a big fantasy football, fantasy basketball. I play a lot of DraftKings and stuff like that. So we just had our fantasy draft last night. I'm looking forward to this year, and I will have y'all to know. Let me just go ahead and I'm not bragging. I'm being honest. That I won my work league fantasy football 3 years in a row.
Wow.
Three times in a row. So that's because I'm great. It's not really my fault. I blame my parents. They made me. You know what I mean? But no, for real. I do now. I don't find myself rooting for teams. I just root for players because of how deep I am in the fantasy. So I still love Chicago Bears, and they're gonna be something special this year. I'm telling y'all. I'm watching the Hard Knocks with the Chicago Bears, and they got Caleb Williams, and they gonna be something special this year. Trust me. But yeah, Joey, to answer your question, I'm deep in the fantasy.
Yeah.
Deep in the fantasy.
See, I'm the opposite. I had to quit playing fantasy because it just made the game miserable for me to watch. Like I was too
Really?
distracted paying attention to different things. I couldn't enjoy watching the Cowboys get their ass kicked. So
Yeah.
Heather, did you ever play fantasy?
I do. I actually last year was my best one yet. I lost first place by like 5 points. I was so mad.
Oh man.
If I would have just switched out one player, I would have won. I was so mad.
Yeah.
But
Dang. So
yeah.
yeah, so
Well-
Heather and Stoy, let me ask you guys, is there a type of trash talk that gets under y'all's skin? Because y'all shook your head yes to trash talking also. Is there a form of it that you're like, F you, man, I don't want any part of that. That's just over the top.
No, I don't try to I try to look unbothered. You know what I mean? I can't just tell you, yeah, this is the trash talk that get me, and then somebody hear this episode and then they come at me. You don't understand, Joey. People they wanna see me lose. So it don't matter if they beat me in trash talking. So I can't publicly tell you nothing like that. Like, no, I'm unbothered by anybody. They can say what they want. Eventually, I'm going to come out on top. And let you see it. Woo! That's Ric Flair right there. That's wrestling.
It wasn't loud enough, really.
Eventually, no, not. I mean, I appreciate. Honestly, I appreciate when somebody can go back and forth with me. Like I really enjoy the banter and and I love witty people because I'll take something somebody said to me and I'll adopt it, and then I'll make it my own. I'll make it something, if it's clever. I just enjoy intelligence. I enjoy knowledge. So if somebody can go bit for bit with me and talking shit to me, talking back and forth, I love that. I enjoy it, but eventually I'm gonna come out on top. No, and that's not a gay statement. I'm gonna come out on top. I'm I'm gonna win at the end of the day.
I think we knew what you meant, man.
Okay, well, I just wanted to throw that in there since we had that. You got to refer back to things. It's funny. It's funny when you can relate back to things, and it shows I'm paying attention.
Hey, you have the license to do that because you have a gay son. If I were to say something like that, people would hammer me, Stoy, and you know that's true, man.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
He just go.
No, I'm here.
All right. Well, we're wrapping this thing up. Got a few more laughs to work in, but I do marvel at sports community. It's nothing like seeing people with your team's bumper sticker and honking at them, or walking by someone in the mall. It's like, I don't care what their religious beliefs are. I don't care what their politics are. Those are my people in some sort of a sphere of existence. Oh my gosh, being at a sporting event where like all the fans in the stands are in your community and you don't even know people, but you're hugging, you're crying, you're laughing, you're sharing together. You all have the same sort of hope, and we all just believe that our team is going to beat the other team's ass. It's simple, and we all need this together. Tatum and Brown, that's our guys. Y'all can keep Giannis and Luka. We like our guys. Jordan Love, that's our quarterback. Sweeney, he's our coach. Let's see what he does. I'm rooting for him to correct the ship. You think he can? I don't know. Let's see. But man, championships? Oh, that's so neat. They belong to that community of fans, players, coaches, former athletes forever. That's like I don't know. If you think about it, that's like a gift that never gets old. So being a fan, that's my favorite. Celtics, Packers, Tigers, that's the fun. Our team may have just lost, but they are our team. I hope you'll take this journey with me. The skies are always bluer. Come on, there's a lot of fun to be had. Let's ditch these tears, man. All right, peace out.
Joey, I don't get the green light to make gay comments because my son is gay.
So I say that tongue in cheek. Here's what I really want to do, because I love the perspective, especially on this last episode. You really, and I mean this, you really are stretching me to, like, I think that I swung the pendulum in a direction of, in my opinion, it was a loving approach to really hearing out, people and what they wanted and what they wanted to be called and all that stuff. And I will always walk in love, but you have definitely stretched me and challenged me in a good way to also carry myself in a, yes, but I know who I am and I know my heart and I know I don't have ill intent. So I'm not going to be super scared of saying the wrong thing, because I'm also not supposed to walk in fear. I know it's a really random thing to interject, but I do appreciate how you're helping me in that. And honestly, it means, I think, more given your diversity and your connection to all sorts of different people. It's more meaningful, I think, to me, that you're not just another person just like me challenging me in that way. Does that make sense? Like, it comes with a little more authority because you're not just like me.
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I want to start this out by saying you're welcome. But no, you have changed a little in our time together, and I have
you're helping me
too. I feel like you bring a dynamics as well that helps me with my personality to kind of adjust, because I'm over the top. I'm telling you, like, my confidence is out of this world, and anytime I can see somebody that is hesitant, I wouldn't say you lack confidence or you walk in fear. You're very careful in the fact that you don't want to offend anybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I think you take it too far sometimes, and it's like, Joey, just speak. Anybody that know your heart is they're gonna know where you're coming from, and anybody that don't know you, who gives a shit? Like who who cares? Like I don't care if some man in Guam said something offensive. Like, boy, I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Like I think you have
That's the best phrase, boy. I don't know you.
boy, I don't know you. Like, you sitting there getting mad or worried about something that I said 9 days ago on you, like, man, come on. So I'm just telling you, like, yeah, I know your responsibility, and being a pastor, you have different people, different type of personalities that you have to navigate through, and you deal with so many different personalities. So I think that kind of puts you in a place that has to be a little reserved and little cautious in how you speak. But I think the more you walk in your own light, where you understand that your heart is always pure and you're always coming from the right place, if you offend somebody, it should be in an atmosphere or an environment where you can be corrected. You know what I mean? Or redirected, instead of you give us so many pre stuff before you say what you want to say. It's like, okay, Joey, you be like, I don't want to offend or that. Like, no, man, just talk. Just talk. Especially when you talking to me, just talk to me. Just get it out so we can get to the next step, you know? But no, I appreciate who you are, though. I'm not telling you you should change anything. But if whatever you're getting from my presence, you could take everything. It's not coming from me. Remember, we had that conversation about the higher power, and knowing that. So, and I'm gonna suck everything I can from you. Whatever I'm supposed to get from you, I'm taking it, and I ain't asking for it.
I appreciate that. Hey, I promise, I know we've gone really long. Heather, this has been awesome seeing one of my best friends after all these years. It really has been too long. I did want to ask you kind of, I would say, you bring in a feminine element and also a motherly element. Do you feel similar to Stoy's sentiments, like when you're, because I'm feeling him when he says this, like when you're at a certain level of stardom and at such a professional level of your athleticism, making millions of dollars, you better have a tough skin. And he said, you're a big trash talker as well. You better be able to take it. But do you feel the example that I gave of last year? It was last year, Stephen A. Smith, so another grown man, mocking and laughing hysterically at another man's failure, Dak Prescott, in the one thing that he wants to excel in. Like, is there even an ounce of you that's just like, I know he's making millions, and I know you could say he's got the best life ever, he better be able to take this. But is there a part of just, even at that level, just having kindness at somebody's lowest point in their professional career? Or am I just stupid for thinking that?
I mean, I think I think you need to have that level of respect, just being one person to another. Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's got it all together. I'm going to come to your job. You're not going to do everything right all day long. Every day you're going to be late or make a mistake on a report or whatever.
Not me.
But at the same, not you, except you, Stoy. Sorry. But at the same time, I think it says more about that commentator than anything else. Like, obviously he's having an issue because Dak Prescott is on the stage and he's not. And he was always kind of a jerk anyway. So, I mean, I feel like people just kind of feel sorry for him because they're just like, yeah, well, he's so mad about his own life that he can't he can't even give respect, to another human being and not trash him like that. I mean, but at least he didn't talk about his mom.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah. I think another angle to this question, and Heather can probably speak to this, is Scott Norwood, who was the Buffalo kicker that missed the field goal. Like, he's not a million. I mean, he was a kicker in the NFL in 1990. I mean, he was probably making like $200,000 a year, which, I mean, was good money for back then, but he's not getting these multi-million-dollar contract, and that guy got dragged.
Dude.
Horribly.
Yes. Dude, I mean, dude
Horrible.
had some
He got like death threats and everything, right?
He had some serious mental health issues too. Like, it was for real. It really affected him. Like, he thought, like, everywhere except for Buffalo. Like, Buffalo, like, we had his back, like, we weren't, coming down on him like that. But yeah, he was like really in a dark place for a long time. And I think he's just recently started to come back from that, which is terrible.
Well, I can see that. But nowadays, I don't know, man. I'm not. I'm a very empathetic person. I care about people's feelings and things like that. I just picture myself just going to the high school level of sports. How many games and how much I've talked shit and how much people have talked shit to me. Like, how just at the high school level, I've already experienced so many back and forth banter that I can imagine going to college and then the pros, like being at that level to where somebody laughing at me or ridiculing me for something that I did. I have to be at a mental state that has already embraced that and know that's coming with the territory, and to allow it to affect me to where not saying Scott Norwood, I know they took it to a whole nother level. Like, it was craziness, but just somebody laughing at me or because I'm not on their team, or they want. I think Skip and Stephen A had a big thing going in Dallas's Skip's team, so they were basically bantering and going back and forth at each other. So laughing at each other's team was a big thing on First Take. But just saying, to be at that level, already gone through that pretty much your entire life. If you're a professional athlete, you've been playing that sport for a long time. You've been through all levels of that sport. You have to know it comes with the territory.
Yeah. No, that's good perspective. That's good perspective. Hey, did you guys, my last question, did you guys have times in which you were devastated by sports kind of in a regular life pattern sort of way? And have you grown out of it? Like, do you have a similar narrative as me to where you appreciate sports more because you've shed what you would be as, yeah, I mean, even though it's human, it's also kind of immature to be bothered for 2 weeks about a loss. Like, you feel like you have more balance and see sports differently as you're older?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all can all relate to the anguish that I described from my past and since being in a different season, even though there's still stings because we do love our teams, but it's different now.
100%.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that we're like, we're all watching pro football now and we're pretty much all four like older than all of those players? Isn't that crazy? Hey, Dick and Heather, y'all know that Stoy had his youngest little boy. Is it okay to say he's being groomed for the NBA? Is that proper wording?
Yes.
Or he is being groomed for the NBA. Nice. You should see the highlights, man. It's pretty neat. It is pretty
How
neat.
old is he?
Yeah, he's 16.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Heather, love you. Dick, love you. Stoy, love you. Good seeing y'all. It's fun talking sports. Thanks for putting up with some of my
Good
antics.
meeting y'all. Dick for the second time.
Yeah, you too, Stoy.
Hope I made y'all feel comfortable and a little bit uncomfortable, because that's when you know.
Yeah. We used to that. We're friends with Joey.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
I can tell that Dick was Joey.
The king of uncomfortableness.
But my uncomfortable makes you comfortable now.
It does.
It's normal.
I'm comfortable with your making. I like when you make other people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's fun. Like people that don't
like
know
when he
you.
tries to dance. Yeah, that's pretty much. It is.
Joe, you dance?
Oh, ask him about the
dude.
scissors dance sometime.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh my gosh, man!
Yeah, I haven't seen that
I would
one.
go to the clubs in the late '90s, dancing to Mace, and y'all, I'm telling you, I had the look of a killer on my face, like I am tearing it up, and people looked at me thinking that guy thinks he is God's gift to this club, and I'm just having fun, and I got the look on my face to make them think that's what I think about myself, but I don't think that. But oh my gosh, those are good times, dancing to Mace and B.I.G. and Dick, you were playing video games listening to metal though, right?
I think we lost Dick.
Oh, he didn't get that joke. All right, we'll see y'all.
Oh man, I lost you.